So I'm here with Emergency Management Planner Angie Ledford to talk about the importance of preparing for a disaster. I don't know if you know this, but September is Disaster Preparedness Month, so it's good to be prepared, and we have a lot of stuff here that you can prepare with. So thanks for joining us, Angie.
Thank you.
So tell me about the importance of preparing yourself.
Okay, well, typically we recommend that you have at least a 72-hour supply of emergency materials on hand. Typically, the first 72 hours following any large-scale emergency or a disaster is when your emergency services, your police, your fire, your EMS are inundated with calls, and response times may be delayed. So you may have to be self-sufficient for 3 days or so.
Now, what are some of the things that we have to prepare for? We have to prepare for loss of electricity, for not being able to get into town.
Power disruption, loss of any type of infrastructure. It could be public water systems, transportation routes, communications, that type of thing. Also be prepared for extreme weather conditions. Here we're susceptible to flooding, to severe winter storms, things like that.
Okay. And obviously, we don't have to have all of this stuff, but we should get all of this stuff. What are the important things, the must-haves for a kit?
The must-haves we recommend, of course, the 3-day supply of food and water. And in terms of water, you want a minimum of 1 gallon per person per day.
Okay.
And in terms of storing water, if you purchase these hard plastic containers, the water's going to last longer than in like the milk jug type containers, because those do break down over time and they will start to leak.
Okay.
But like the commercially bottled water, it'll have the expiration date on it. I bought this not long ago, and it says it's good through November of 2016. So you just want to make sure that you're aware of your expiration dates and that you rotate things through.
So at every kit, you should have like a checklist on top of the kit with
the dates.
With the dates, so you can check it every once in a while.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So this is actually a 3-quart container, so it's a little bit smaller than a gallon. But a gallon per person per day for both drinking and for sanitation, which we'll talk more about that in a minute. And then also things like juices, that can also be used not totally in lieu of water, but as a liquid as well. Also, your shelf-stable milk doesn't require refrigeration, so it's a good idea to keep some of that on hand as well. Then in terms of food, things that are non-perishable and that can be eaten with little to no cooking is typically the best bet. Canned goods, definitely. Vegetables, beans are a good source of protein. You've got your canned meats, and
make sure you have a can opener.
Yes, when the electricity's off, your electric can opener's not going to work, so you definitely want to make sure that you keep one of these with your disaster supplies. Not just thinking you've got one.
Not just in the kitchen, but always keep it with your supply.
Right, keep an extra one with your supply.
Because you might not always be able to stay at home.
Exactly. The more that you can have it compact and in a container that you can just grab and go, the better off you're going to be. Also, something else to keep in mind in terms of your canned goods, this is like a chilies and soups that are ready to eat that don't have to have water added to them are probably a little bit better option than like your condensed soups where you have to add the water, because that's just taken away from your water supply.
Yeah, and it's probably really salty.
It is, and the more that you can go with low salt options, the better. Like for instance, these say saltine crackers, but then if you read, they're actually the unsalted tops.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that we recommend is for your crackers and things like that, try to get the no salt option, because that's not going to make you as thirsty. Peanut butter is a good option. It's a good source of protein. Peanuts, granola bars, anything like that. And then canned fruits, canned vegetables. And a good thing to keep in mind in terms of your serving sizes, like the little applesauce and fruit cups, these may be a better option than like a big can, because you want to keep it at a serving that somebody's going to consume at one sitting, because if your power's off, you're probably not going to have refrigeration.
Yeah.
So again, like with the juice, instead of the big container, the little single-serve bottles, because the less things that you have to worry about.
And you need to be able to ration it too.
Exactly.
So make sure you keep your portion sizes self-contained.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. And just, most all things are marked with an expiration date now. Occasionally you may find canned goods that don't have it on there, but if you'll just mark the date that you bought it,
Okay.
that'll kind of give you an idea. And there's, if you go to either readync or ready.gov websites, they'll have links to things that deal with food safety, so it'll tell you, even if there's not an expiration date on there, kind of what the shelf life of commercially canned
Yeah.
goods are.
So do you recommend pretty much everyone should have a kit, like all of this should be in a bag ready to go? Should every member of the family have their own, or is it just okay to have one big one? Or
It's probably, if you can separate it out by person and maybe keep it in a backpack, then everybody can just grab their own and go. It's certainly permissible to have it in a Rubbermaid tub or something, but keep weight in mind, keep easily transportable in mind. But if you're doing the small single serve things, that's something that you could easily probably pack up in a backpack, and then probably you'd need your water
awesome.
separate from that.
Now, aside from food, we have a lot of fun toys over here, but obviously the ones that are most important to have are the flashlights and the radios and what else do we have here?
Well, let's talk a minute about the flashlights. And these are some combination units. This one is a flashlight, radio, and then it also has a siren on it.
Okay.
I think this runs off of D batteries, so you want to make sure that you're aware of what
And always
type.
have extra batteries.
Yeah, and the correct type.
Yeah.
Make sure like this. This requires the D batteries. This one, however, is a flashlight that's one of the self-crank. You just pull the crank out.
Those are always neat.
Yeah, and it just cranks up, or it has a little mini solar charger on it too.
Oh, cool.
But this one is a flashlight. Then it's also a AM/FM radio with the weather band on it, and then it also has a USB plug
Oh, perfect.
on the back of it.
So a self-charging everything. You should just have that at your house anyway.
I'm not sure. I haven't tested it to see how long you actually have to crank it up to charge a cell phone off of it. But that
How much would something like that run?
I want to say these are probably $20 or so.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So not too terribly expensive. But in terms of lighting, and then you even have the chemical light sticks,
Okay.
where these you just open them up. It'll be kind of hard to see because we're out in the sunlight, but you just break the little tube. There's a tube inside the tube. It's a chemical reaction. You just break it. Kind of like your glow sticks that the kids play with, but these are rated for 12 hours. And, these put out enough light to be able to see by. Not going to light up a room, but for emergency situations. And anything like this, a flashlight, we recommend any kind of source of light that doesn't require an open flame.
Yeah.
So we just strongly discourage the use of candles or the old-timey lanterns, because then you may end up with another emergency if you set your house on fire.
That's true. And you mentioned that those can expire too.
Yes. Yeah, they're individually wrapped and they have an expiration date on them. I think these are good till 2017. So that's another thing to just keep your expiration dates in mind. And you can buy these pretty much at any camping store for a couple bucks a piece or something.
Oh, great. And speaking of camping, we've got everything for camping here too. Basically, a disaster preparedness kit is just like a going camping kit.
Yes, it is. And this is a portable toilet, which is essentially a bucket with the toilet lid on it. You can buy these at, there's several disaster preparedness outlets online where you can find them, maybe even in a camping store. I'm not sure about that, but you get the liners that go with it. You put the liner down in the bucket, and then it has the chemicals similar to what you use on a camper toilet. So the chemicals just go in the bag. And, that's, if you're having to evacuate your house, that's something that people may not think about is sanitation, have a supply toilet paper with you, even things that we don't have here like trash bags. And maybe even they have the waterless wipes for bathing.
Yeah.
The waterless shampoo caps, things like that. Anything like that's a basic need. Just kind of think through what you do in any given day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just think about what you do on a given day and be ready for it if you don't have any of that stuff.
Right, and things like paper plates, paper bowls, disposable utensils, things like that, because you may be in a situation where you're not able to be washing dishes and things like that.
Yeah, and I like some of these things you have up here for water use, because you don't have, if you don't have access to a clean water supply, you have things like the mini water filtration systems that are really cool.
Or then even you can get just like the little chlorine tablets that you can drop in water, and it tells you how much one tablet will treat and things like that. But there's several sources where you can find the mini filtration systems.
And that's where you can either filter it from a source or drink it from the source, like a straw.
Right. Right, and I mean they're fairly inexpensive too. Probably maybe $20-25. Then also in terms of power disruption, we have a solar charger that will charge your cell phone. You just hang it up either outside or even in a window. It's probably going to take a little bit longer to charge if it's in the window, because a lot of windows are polarized and doesn't let in as much light, but or UV. But you hang it up. It's got the 2 solar panels, and then it has a little battery pack on the back with an indicator light. Once it gets charged up, you can disconnect this from the charger, plug your cable for your phone up, and charge your phone from the battery. And then if you have a spare battery, you can hook another battery up, and that way you can cycle them through and always have a charged battery.
Yeah, great idea.
So that's an option. Then we also have an inverter, if I can get to it without throwing everything away. This is a power inverter that either has the adapter that you can plug into your cigarette lighter on your car. This would, of course, change out these cables and hook here. And then you can use your car battery to power anything, basically, that uses, I believe it's less than 1,000 watts.
Which is most things that you would plug in.
Yeah, on the box that this came in, it had several different things, like a coffee maker, a small television, laptop, various things that you could power. But the other option is, it also comes with these cables that will hook directly to the battery, like a car battery, motorcycle battery, and then you just from the battery you can power.
Run the inverter. Great.
And then also some type of multi-tool. This is a Leatherman, but it's basically, it's got the pliers, it's got the knife, file, saw, screwdriver.
Everything you'd need.
Yep, similar to a Swiss Army knife. That's a good thing to keep on hand. And again, the more that you can keep things with your supplies, the better off you're going to be. You may think, well, I've got one of these that is in a drawer somewhere. That's good enough. If you've got the money to buy an extra one to just keep it all confined to a kit, then you're not having to spend time looking for things.
Yeah.
If you're having to evacuate.
Definitely.
Or something like that. Also, a first aid kit is a good thing to have. This is just a good basic kit. This one happens to be a AAA, but you can clip it on a backpack. And it has, your basic Band-Aids, antiseptic, gauze, things like that. And then also, it's always a good idea to have a blanket with you. And, it can be just a regular blanket, or it can be these space-type all-weather blankets. This is like a tarp, so it's weatherproof, and it's reflective on one side, so it reflects your body heat back.
And those are good because they're compact too, because if you think you want to bring a blanket, they're huge.
Right. This is a good option, or if you really want to get compact, these are the space blankets. It's really, this could fit in your glove box in your car and just stay there.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like Mylar balloon material, but it just reflects your body heat and traps it, and can make a lot of difference if you're stuck in your car in the snow. And then we also have, we talked about flashlights, but this is a headlamp.
Okay.
And it's an LED headlamp. It's really bright. It runs off of AAA batteries. So we have our extra batteries. Like I said, make sure you know what type you need. But this is a good option because, it's the headlamp and your hands are free.
Yeah.
So, if you're having to work on something, move things or whatever, then you've got your hands free.
Great. So everyone should have a checklist. You don't have to have everything we have here, but the more you have, the safer you'll be for the longer amount of time. So have a checklist. Write down what kind of batteries you need, what kind of stuff you have here, when things expire. Keep it up to date every
Every
this stuff
6
lasts.
months.
This lasts a while, so yeah, every 6
I
months.
would check it every 6 months. I mean, your expiration dates are going to be longer than that, but it's just a good idea to run through it every 6 months just to make sure. And then also things you can add too, depending on your household. Like if you have an infant, you would want formula, diapers, that type thing. You know, I wear contact lenses, so I keep a spare pair of contacts, spare pair of glasses, contact lens supplies. You know, folks, if you wear dentures, you would need denture supplies. Medications, it's also a good idea to have a 3-day supply of your medications with your kit. A lot of times, folks think that that's kind of an expensive option maybe, but if you ask your doctor, a lot of times they'll have samples.
Yeah.
And they can, you know, give you, if you tell them what you're doing, you know, get 2 or 3 samples and throw in.
Great. Now, aside from having a disaster preparedness kit, if a disaster happens, what are some things aside from the kit that people should just be aware of? They should have a plan of action.
You should have a plan of action. You should know, one, where you're going, know the evacuation route you would take. It's a good idea to be aware, you know, maybe your home's not in a floodplain, but the road that you need to take to evacuate could be.
That's true.
Be aware of all the different routes that you can leave from your house. You know if you have friends or family in the area that you can stay with. Have emergency contact numbers for out-of-state friends and family or out of the area friends and family. And it's a good idea to have those written down on a piece of paper with your kit. Everybody keeps numbers in their cell phone now, and we don't remember telephone numbers maybe like we used to. And you know, if your phone's dead and you can't charge it, then you're not going to be able to get the telephone numbers that you need. So it's a good idea to have that written down. There's actually on ready.gov, there's a guide that you can print off that kind of steps you through it, and it tells you like what numbers you might want to write down, important documents, you know, copies of birth certificates, things like that, insurance policies.
Yeah, have a copy of all of it.
And it's a good idea too, in terms of emergency contacts, to have not only the number of someone local, but someone out of state as well. Because sometimes it may be easier to get in contact if it's a large-scale disaster with somebody further away than somebody
with something like Katrina happening, it's good to have all your relatives so you can get in touch with them when you finally get to a phone.
Right. But yeah, just make sure, also, you know, if you have pets and you're going to be evacuating with them, you need to have pet food, food bowls, vet records.
Oh yeah.
Things like that.
Great. And another way to prepare for a disaster is Nixle. If you've never heard of Nixle, it is a great tool that we're using here in Buncombe County. Tell us about it.
It is. It's an emergency alert application, and people can join or opt in by texting BC Alert from their cell phone to 888-777.
And what happens when they text BC Alert to 888-777?
They'll get a message back, and it'll ask them to reply with their zip code, which that helps us be able to more geographically tailor messages sometimes.
Okay, so if there's a flood or some sort of disaster in town, and this will actually send people information about what to avoid, like that, to be wary of this stuff.
It could send information about like roads that may be flooded or closed. We could use it to send messages about like maybe where we've opened emergency shelters. Just general weather warnings. Once you sign up for it, when the National Weather Service issues a weather warning, it automatically comes through that application.
Okay. And Nixle isn't just going to send you stuff all the time. It's going to be for emergency stuff. If you sign up for BC Alerts, you'll only get texts during emergencies.
Yes.
That's a great tool.
Yeah. So again, text BC Alert to 888-777 from your cell phone. You just do it like a regular text message. It sounds like there's not enough digits in there for the number to get through, but it will. Just 888-777, and then in the body of the message, BC Alert, click send, and you'll be signed up.
Great. All great advice to prepare for a disaster. Well, I think I'm going to be ready for a disaster now. I'll just lug all this around.
Get a really big backpack.
Get a big backpack. Well, thank you so much, Angie.
You're welcome. Thank you.